Welcome to the Virtual Power Teams podcast, now with AI. And today we have a very exciting guest, Kinnar Vora. He joins us from San Francisco and Silicon Valley. He's a tech and AI enthusiast. He brings a wealth of knowledge from companies like Amazon, where he was working and gained big corporate experience. And currently, he's a VP of engineering. So he's not just tech enthusiast, but a tech expert. So without any further ado, welcome, Kinar, and please tell us with your own words who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Great to be on the podcast, and it was great to meet you as well a few weeks back. So, for everyone listening, my name is Kinnar Vora. I'm the VP of Engineering at Forward Financing. But just going back a little bit, I started my career kind of very early on when the internet wave was coming on. I've been very fortunate to have actually caught that wave. So I'm more of a technology enthusiast. I've always been crazy excited about technology. And again, if we get into stories, I'll probably tell one story is I saw a computer because I grew up in India and I saw a computer in my eighth grade. And that's when my fascination for computers started. That led me to the internet wave and I caught that. And guess what? Startups got added to it as well.
I'll just allow myself to make a comment. You say eighth grade and you look like in your 30s. So there must be some mismatch here in terms of age. And but anyway, we'll believe you. For the YouTube use, they would never believe that you are that old. Please carry on.
That's true. It's very humbling, Peter, when you look back at your own career with the sense of curiosity. Early in your career, you are more risk taking, you are more trying things out. As you grow in your career, sometimes you kind of become a little bit, I don't know, is it scared or you become a little bit more protective of things you try? And, I had some of that opportunity probably during our conversation, it'll come up is, with kind of AI coming up, I had the opportunity to just step back and just say, hey, let's look at my career. And that's what I think I was bringing up this whole computers thing is like, so I started careers, in computers. I've been in this space. I started with internet technologies. I came to the Bay Area in 99. So it's been a lot of time, 26, 27 years. And the bug that bit me was startups. So I've been in startups in different stages, different sizes of startups. Plus, I ended up working for Amazon as well. I really wanted to try that. And now I'm the VP of engineering at Forward Financing.
Excellent. Excellent. That reminded me of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, who said, like, in your 30s, in your like 2030s, you learn, you take risk, you take different jobs, you learn mainly. And then in your 30s, you develop in a career, a bit longer stay. In the 40s, it's your expert area and you really sweat the asset and you now benefit on your experience for the company and for yourself. And in the 50s, you start giving back already and mentoring and so on. So it matches what you say. Now, let's look. When we met in San Francisco, it was an event and AI was one of the key topics. It was the Project Management Institute conference where we both were keynote speakers. Now, how do you think AI empower managers nowadays, project managers and all sort of managers?
Yeah, I think AI is fundamentally shifting how
Hmm.
we work. I have to go back to again. I'm big into stories, so I'm going to keep telling a little
Please.
story here and there, right? So because I don't know if the listeners will remember this podcast, but they'll remember stories because that's how I remember too, right? Um, AI came in like I think it was November of 2022 when ChatGPT 3.5 launched, and we know the world kind of changed from that point on.
Hmm.
I dabbled with a little bit of AI and stuff like that. But about a year ago, I really had an opportunity to like clean slate, let me use AI on a daily basis, right? And that's when the aha moment hit for me when I started using is the power of AI. You start with, oh, it's just a tool, I can ask it questions, then it becomes an assistant, and then you are like, oh, it's a thought partner, it's a companion for
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
So the way I see AI for managers or leaders or managers in different places is it is going to be something that complements your skill set. So today, if I look at a managed job, I specifically look at, say, my job. I do a lot of data collection, either if I'm looking at developer metrics or what's the team working on and all of that. just even getting all that data set was such of a admin task.
Hmm.
Now I don't have to worry. There are tooling that are getting built into all of the systems that we use that can give you all of those insights. So my job becomes thinking on top of that, using my
Hmm.
critical judgment and thinking and working with people actually, because that's the stuff the AI cannot do. So judgment, critical thinking, working with people is where it is. So yeah, I'll keep it broad for now, but yeah, that's how I
Yes.
see kind of AI helping managers.
Hmm. You owe me one story. What's your most exotic use of AI? I just like to make a comment that it's like four levels of evolution of AI we are experiencing. First is just a tool helping you to translate and so on. That was the early days. Then for more advanced users, it become, as you said, like a thinking partner, executive coach. You share, you get back. No, second stage was actually search. People realized that you could ask intelligent question and get the right data and so on, advanced search. Third was a thinking partner, executive coach, a critic. And then fourth is now we live in the age of agents, and we did live demo in San Francisco. The AI start to become sovereign, independent, and if configured well, can do a lot of tasks, and not just do because it was automation, but make decisions on the way. So we are scaling on this fourth, and being independent, you get smarter agents, which become like a valuable team members. I share there is a Chinese gaming company that has a CEO as a AI, and they're doing well. The Net Dragon for the listeners. Um, okay, if you wanna, I ask already. What is your most exotic, exciting experience with AI?
Um, it's still pretty early stages, but for the listeners, I can share maybe a couple of them.
Hmm.
Um, uh, these are small examples right now. Obviously, they'll become big. Is one was, about 2 or 3 months ago, I attended an engineering leadership conference in San Francisco.
Hmm.
And over there, this is the first time. So the conference has been going on for about 10 years, 9, 10 years.
Hmm.
And this is the first time they said, hey, engineering leaders who don't code on a daily basis can do a hackathon. They can actually build an application using AI. And
Yes.
that was the first time I really used AI for
Hmm.
coding.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, I built a chatbot application using OpenAI APIs. I
Hmm.
deployed it to AWS and all of that in about 8 to 10 hours.
Wow.
I could not believe it. That was
Hmm.
a one big like light bulb moment went for me was, oh my God, the power of AI. And
Hmm.
it's the fastest growing technology today.
Hmm.
And when you see it, because I have coded in the past, I have not been coding recently. So that was,
Hmm.
I think, one really exciting moment for me because I firsthand saw the power of it, right? On
Hmm.
how it can go. The
When
second
was
one,
it?
and
When was it?
this was in September. It was in early
This year.
September
Hmm.
in San Francisco. That's
Hmm.
when we built. And we had like a group of about 25 engineering leaders who had not coded in a long time, and everybody was showing their apps. And it was so impressive because we were like, we've coded in our past lives, but it's the first time we're actually demoing our apps, right?
Hmm.
So that is one part of the excitement. The second one I would say is, from an exciting perspective, is something that we are doing here at Forward. It's pretty early stages, but what we are going to do is we are starting off like an AI innovation lab.
Hmm.
And we're taking a maybe slightly different approach than what I've traditionally seen is we are actually creating a team of like four
Hmm.
engineers and their
Excellent.
sole job is to test and learn and play with new technologies. And if you want, Peter, we can obviously dive deep into that area as well. But
Hmm.
I would say
Hmm.
those are the two like kind of more exciting things that are happening right now from my
Excellent.
perspective for me. Yeah.
Excellent. Let's deep dive. Just a comment maybe for the audience if they haven't. This vibe coding tools like Replit.com or Lovable, they would do it even in 5 minutes. It's not the same. You deployed it yourself in Amazon Web Cloud. They would deploy it into their cloud, but within like 5 minutes, depending on, and there are many tips there. How can you do the QA with smarter prompt and don't fix every mistake by itself? But you could build a software application within 5 minutes, literally, or a web page, and it is really amazing. Like Replit is one of the leading tools there. And now you said deep diving in the team. I think the audience is very keen because it's the originally Virtual Power Teams podcast, and now AI can become a team member, even a CEO, as we said. But when you did this for software and engineers, AI software and engineers, which was the roles, which were the principles, and maybe what lessons did you have?
So I think, and by the way, that's a really great question because it is very hard to build a team that is
Hmm.
going to kind of step into a little bit of the unknown territory, right? So
Yes.
how do you pick that? So some of the pillars that we've used to kind of hire some of the folks is out of the team of four, what we did was we picked two people from within the company. So one is from engineering, one is from analytics. And our idea was you need to have domain expertise of people who
Hmm.
actually know the product inside and out.
Yes.
So domain expertise is something, you can teach AI, but there are so many nuances to your own specific technology. So we
Hmm.
got those people. The other two people that we are getting are like so-called AI experts who build technology, but also deployed in production. But
Hmm.
to answer your question a little bit more head on, right? The skills we are looking for is really a builder's mindset or a
Hmm.
test and learn mindset. And
Hmm.
this could be a topic by itself is our relationship with failure, if you look at as leaders, is very difficult.
Hmm.
And I'm doing a little bit of a research on this myself right now, where on one hand, we came from this traditional mindset saying failures is bad, don't do it. And at some point we kind of shifted saying, oh, fail fast, and everything is fine till you fail fast. But I
Hmm.
think there was so much noise in there, we really forgot what is an intelligent failure? What is a good way to fail? So
Hmm.
this team that we've built and some of the principles we are building is you have to be okay dealing with ambiguity
Hmm.
because we won't know what we are building. You have to have a builders or a test and learn mindset. We are going to
Hmm.
continuously experiment. We'll try something, we'll fail, we'll do something else,
Hmm.
we'll fail. That's okay. Failures are good till you're always learning from it.
Hmm.
And I think there is a notion of communication. You have to be able to communicate to a wider set of audiences. So I'll pause here for a second is
Hmm.
there are all of these skills that we are putting in. And
Hmm.
that's the reason why it's been so hard to kind of build
Hmm.
that team because now you're asking a lot from
Hmm.
every team member, right? It's a small
Yes.
team, by the way, but you're
Hmm.
asking a lot from them as well.
Hmm. Did you have, I probably misunderstood, did you have a team of agents as well with different expertise, maybe different large language
No,
models, or not in
no,
this
not
case?
yet. So
Hmm.
we are starting off with a team of individuals.
Okay.
And this team in 2026 is going to build a lot of agents for us. And that's, I think, the point that we are building the team for. So it's a new
Excellent.
AI innovation lab we are kicking off. Yeah.
Can you summarize the top three skills you mentioned, just one to three? The builder's
Yeah.
mindset? Hmm.
Builder's mindset,
Yes.
ability to test and learn
Okay.
constantly. And I
Hmm.
would say upskilling your communication to be able to be talking technical plus kind of to the business, but being able to up level your communication.
Yes. Excellent. By the way, I'll make a referral here. Um, the Harvard did a study maybe 6 months ago called the cybernetic teammate. So they took Procter and Gamble, 700 plus people, so representative sample, and they tested one person, single kind of knowledge worker without AI, single knowledge worker with AI, two people without AI, and two people with AI. So they mixed people, small teams with AI and without AI. And the results, well, threefold, which links to your third knowledge. First of all, one person with AI outperforms one person. One person with AI outperforms the person without AI, kind of no brainer, but also two people without AI, kind of better quality input and
Oh.
faster. And then two people with AI outperform much more all the other categories. And one of the key outcomes, so they were faster with AI and better quality. Um, the second thing was eye-opening for me. Two people from different expertise, usually cross-functional. You have like marketing and engineering, the usual ones that would go into conflict. With AI was like translating. It was the glue, and they could reach a result and consensus much faster. So AI was like cross-functional translator, which you mentioned as a key skill to build a team, like leveling up the communication and so on. And the third one, also surprising, teams with AI were happier in the end. They reported that their teamwork was more enjoyable, fun, and so on. So all this is good. On top of all the concerns with AI and taking jobs, at least teams with AI could deliver more, be happier, and also have a smooth communication, even from different functions. Mhm.
Yeah,
Thanks for
and
yeah.
yeah, just one quick comment on that. I think it's so important that you called out because it is a surprise to me. Even as you're talking about, I'll probably go
Hmm.
read that research. Is translating between different departments and different groups, we don't realize how much time and effort goes into that. So
Yes.
if you're able to bring like disparate groups of people and really able to effectively communicate, it can create such a streamlined process for delivery. So thanks for calling that out, Peter. Yeah, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
go ahead and read that research too.
We'll put the link in the show notes. It's cybernetic teammate would be the search
Okay.
words. Excellent. So now we have somebody who worked for Amazon, and many of the listeners are in Europe, and Amazon is having a big footprint here as well. But it's like a symbol of efficiency, innovation, doing unimaginable things fast. And you work for there in a managerial position. What were the key lessons around innovation, efficiency, or anything else that you could
Yeah,
share with us?
yeah, I would say my experience at Amazon was like no other. And
Hmm.
it's very interesting, a company at that scale, how they have built it based on all of the principles. Like the one thing we keep on saying, and I see it because now I'm outside of Amazon, and I really have even more appreciation is the culture that they have built. Because you can't take that culture, even if they tell you all the principles they have, you can't rebuild that culture out. So here are my top two or three things I would
Hmm.
say were kind of very, very close to my heart. Like there are so many, but I'll try and distill it down to two or three. Number one, Amazon calls itself as the largest startup in the world.
Hmm.
It's one of the very big companies, but it really operates like a startup.
Wow.
And the way they make it happen is through this concept called single threaded leadership or single threaded ownership, STL or STO. What that
Okay.
really means is, and Jeff Bezos and other leaders have popularized this term, is called the
Hmm.
two pizza team. So basically,
Yeah.
you have your teams between like 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 people that you can feed with two pizzas, right? And
Yes.
that team owns everything end to end. And like they have decision authority on what to build, how to build, and they become the leader. So when I was at Amazon, I was given a functional area and I was like, you own this. If you have to work with 10 teams, one of my projects which I was working on back then, I think I was interacting with about 20 dependent teams. But all
Hmm.
of that was on me because I was the leader. So I got a chance to kind of drive it with all of them, right? So this is the one big principle I would say is
Hmm.
really about single thread leadership. And they have implemented it really well.
Why single-threaded? Because the owner of the team, like the team lead, is the single source of responsibility, or
Yes.
what?
So what
Hmm.
they do is they look at projects and they give one team the
Hmm.
full project ownership, basically.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
we talk about it, but if you look at it very nuanced, like in our current teams today, sometimes we say, oh, the QA team is somewhere else, or hey, the operational stuff is somewhere else. No, they have cross-functional teams. Don't take me
Hmm.
wrong. They have like infrastructure teams and other teams, but
Yes.
the stack that you build, the decisions that you make is all within your team. You are the
Hmm.
ones that are basically saying, I need X headcount, I need to
Hmm.
do X, Y, and Z. And
Hmm.
they have built like what they call mechanisms. There's basically different types of meetings where you can surface your challenges. So you can say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm trying to do these things, but maybe it's misaligned with another. Can we make a decision? So
Hmm.
leaders who are like, other leaders only come in to answer your questions to unblock you. They don't get in the way of actually doing the work for
Yes.
you. And it's
Yes.
pretty nicely built. So I think that is, I think the essence of it is they give you full end to end ownership of building that.
Excellent. I love that. Maybe just before you continue, um, there was this book Holacracy a few years back when we had like operating system for empowered, probably flat hierarchies organization, and there were the role of the ambassador who can go to the teams that they have interfaces, dependencies, and clarify what are their priorities and so on. In your case, if I understood correctly, you call up leaders from other teams shortly in a meeting when decision has to be made, and then on the spot they are empowered to make a decision. Is that how it works
Yes,
operationally? Hmm.
exactly. And what we also do, if it is a larger project, like if it is a much more strategic projects, we
Hmm.
get our skip leaders and we involve them in the original planning to saying, hey,
Hmm.
we are building this massive feature. Let's
Hmm.
make sure the senior leaders are all aligned. So we
Hmm.
have like Amazon has this process called operating plan one and operating plan two. They do a yearly planning. Basically,
Hmm.
operating plan one is a bottoms up plan on all the things they want to do. And
Hmm.
operating plan two is the finance and the top down one. So the top down and bottoms up kind of all meet somewhere in like November,
Hmm.
December timeframe. and then
Mm-hmm.
they commit to goals. So when they're doing this commitment of goals, for larger strategic projects, they actually involve the other team saying, we are building this, it will have some impact. Can you make sure you carve out some capacity upfront?
Mm-hmm.
So they know it, they're involved in some of the meetings, and if it's a bigger decision, we involve like senior leaders and whatnot. But it's easy to say. When you see it in action, is
Mm-hmm.
just amazing because everyone follows the same pattern, right? The
Yes.
patterns are not different. Everybody has a different implementation style. So you
Mm-hmm.
have the autonomy on how you want to run your team. But the mechanisms of discussions, meetings, decision making, everyone follows the same playbook, basically the same
Mm-hmm.
principles. Amazon has
Yes.
like 14 or 16 principles, and they
Mm-hmm.
follow the same principles. So yeah, that's the first one which I really like. I have carried it with me after I've left Amazon to in my current company as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think if you have well-defined playbooks for the things you do, it's a great enabler for agents as well, AI agents. You could teach them on the principles, connect to the tools, and they do the job. So, and it's not an easy piece of work, to
Yeah.
standardize and to define it. It's a huge advantage now in the age of AI.
Yeah.
And these rituals you mentioned, can you give one example? The delight, the devil is in the detail, delight is in the detail. I know, for example, when companies implement agile, they come up with some nice rituals. One is called enough, let's move on. So Elmo, and they even have a mascot. So if you discuss more than whatever, everybody could call the Elmo and say enough, let's move on. And there is a way to make quick decisions. Can you give some of the principles in the meetings that make this so efficient and working?
Yeah. And again, this is again, I'm piggybacking on, the
Hmm.
Amazon kind of principle is most of the Amazon meetings are very unique. When you
Hmm.
go into a meeting, and early on when I joined a meeting, there would be like 15, 20 people or more sometimes,
Hmm.
and everybody's off camera and nobody's talking. You'll go and say, what happened here, right? Because all the meetings at Amazon require you to put a written doc.
Hmm.
It's not just agenda points. I mean, sometimes you do have agenda points, but it says for what you want to get out of the meeting, please, whoever's leading that meeting, you have to write a doc to
Hmm.
explain the problem statement, propose solution, risks, what are your asks. And the first about 20 minutes or so, everybody's heads down reading the doc. That's it.
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
was such a culture shock for me because I go into a meeting and everybody's talking because everybody's reading the
Yes.
doc, right? And
Yes.
what you do is you start, in the virtual world, obviously you have like Google Docs and,
Hmm.
docs that are collaborative. So everybody starts adding their comments in there.
Hmm.
And what this does, and this is again a principle that Jeff Bezos actually said, it's a story, I think it
Hmm.
is 2003 or something, is
Hmm.
he believed in the narrative, not the bullet points. So
Hmm.
it forced you to articulate your problem statement much better. So when
Hmm.
when we're talking about some of these mechanisms,
Hmm.
the art of writing things down
Hmm.
is extremely hard. Good writing is extremely hard. That's something I learned
Yes.
firsthand. So to be able to articulate and bring a group of people together. But what happens is within an hour, if you've written down, people actually discuss the core issues really quickly. And then
Hmm.
you come out with action items and you're done. And you move on to the next step. And there are owners assigned to them and you move on. So this is one of the mechanisms I wanted to kind of call out is that's
Hmm.
the key to how Amazon operated. Now, it's hard because Amazon, everyone's expected to write, right?
Hmm.
Now, if you look at from an AI tooling perspective, this is what I really, really like now because I
Hmm.
use AI tooling for writing right now. What I do is I take some of my ideas. By the way, I think maybe I should call out to the listeners first is
Hmm.
as we start using AI tooling, I'm very mindful that AI doesn't do the thinking for me. I do the thinking and AI helps me get to the point I want to because it can
Yes.
be very easy. You can offload your thinking to AI and it can get pretty scary and dangerous if you
Hmm.
don't control that.
Hmm.
So, from a writing perspective, when I go into meetings, we use like transcriptions. I use like again, very recently we created some of our strategy docs. As we are looking at 2026, there was a certain format and whatnot. I had some great ideas, like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, do that. But converting that into that doc, I'm like, hey, AI, can you help me like format it in this
Hmm.
format? And then I'll go edit it, and it just makes your job so much easier. It saves you
Hmm.
time. It creates
Hmm.
a good quality doc. based on your input. So this is one kind of an example I wanted to kind of mention here is
Yes.
um, ability to write clearly and how AI can now complement us because it really is a huge time saving. And also, as a thought partner, it can give you multiple ideas that you may have not seen as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I was not aware of this introverted kind of cooperation at the beginning of the meeting. Usually, the introverted, which are analytical and so on, they may be in the meeting kind of suppressed by extroverted team members who could, hold a discussion. And in this case, you kind of analyze, collaborate on a single document, see the comments, and apparently it works. It works very well. Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's look now. We looked at the management and how AI is enabling management. You gave great examples. Let's look now at the leadership. How AI is impacting leadership, how people lead people and teams.
So this is a very broad topic because I
Mm-hmm.
think we are all students. We are all kind of learning with all of the new tooling and everything coming in. And even in that PMI conference, both you and I kind of touched on that, briefly as well, right? So from a leadership perspective, what I like to center back on is this again, these are principles I've learned over the course of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leaders really thrive in making decisions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but how they make decisions today before AI versus with AI has fundamentally changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can give you an example is uh, I'm big on developer experience or engineering productivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And previously I had to collect data from all of the disparate systems and then connect
Mm-hmm.
the dots and like who's doing what. And it felt very intrusive. People like engineers would be very like, oh my God, are you looking at my lines of
Mm-hmm.
code? Are you looking at
Mm-hmm.
this? But now with AI tooling, the admin work, you can offload it to
Mm-hmm.
all of these different systems. It gives you a view, and you can
Yes.
almost talk to your data to
Mm-hmm.
get the right insights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there is one part of as a leader, if I have to make decisions, the speed of making decisions has gone up. Now, you want to be very careful how you use each of the tools, but that is one part of the dimension which I fundamentally see. The second part, I think I also feel is the quality of decisions have also gone up, right? Like again, I think I just mentioned to you, like we are coming up with a new strategic initiative, and we are doing a few things. I had a few ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but they were not complete, and I used AI as a thought partner, saying, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
here are some of my constraints. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. Could there be more I do? Or can you poke holes in this?" And I kind of use it. Probably, I think you mentioned this too, Peter, in your presentation. Is the demo that you're doing is ask me one question at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can refine my search. The whole concept in AI is a single shot search, which is you give it one
Mm-hmm.
answer, you expect the right answer. But it's a multi-shot thing, right? You have to
Yes.
iterate over it. And you make AI as your thought partner and say, ask me one question. So you poke a hole, I'll give you a response. And we continue this dialogue till we get to a decent answer. So the
Yes.
second one, I think, along with speed, is the quality part of it. I feel like the quality is like gone up significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And the two, because in business, we've always known speed is always the differentiator, right? You look at it. But I think if you've not really truly used AI, I don't know if people have realized how fast decision making can move. Speed and quality have fundamentally shifted now in the AI world to move significantly faster. So, if you start applying and using some of the tools, you can have a massive disruptive edge over other, either competitors, or the value you can deliver to the customers could be way more faster than what we think today we can.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Um, let's look. That's like enabling leaders to gather the data to have a better quality decisions. What are the challenges that leaders face nowadays as, introducing, adopting AI on the whole spectrum?
Yeah, we all, myself included, are kind of living through that right now, right, Peter?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first thing that occurs to me right now, and I have some parallels in my own personal story. I can give you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is just the signal to noise ratio. There is so much hype about everything going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at every tool now says they are AI enabled. Every tool says they are
Yeah.
AI native. And I get it. The intent is right. But as a leader, you don't want to burn either yourself out or your teams out by trying to, like, as we say, boil the ocean, right? Like, you don't want to
Yes.
first either get misrepresentation from the tooling. You really have
Hmm.
to take your time to understand what they're offering and why. And the
Hmm.
second part is really to going and saying, is this the right place where I need to put my energy in? Because you can get lost. You can quickly get lost. So the whole signal to noise ratio is super high today. So I
Hmm.
think that's the one challenge everyone's going through. The second thing I feel today, and we are, as we are kicking off our AI innovation lab, we are trying to be very deliberate about this, is you going wide versus going deep. There is a
Hmm.
lot of excitement to say, oh, I can solve this one problem. I can go solve that problem. I can go solve that problem, right? And some of these problems could be in different domains. It could be in customer success area. It could be this area. It could be developer productivity, right? And all of these are small projects that give you some efficiency gain, 10,
Hmm.
20% or something. But I think what I'm starting to realize is you could do some of those projects, but the real value comes in when you fundamentally changed how the business operates, right? So you're
Hmm.
moving from saying, do I just go and pick 10 small projects? And, for your use case, it may be good. But I
Hmm.
think where we are trying to kind of center down on how about we pick two most impactful business use cases and
Hmm.
really double down on it. Because what I think is coming from there, Peter, as we are talking about challenges, right?
Hmm.
As a growth, I think you were talking about that model on how
Hmm.
AI model kind of, matures. Even
Hmm.
for individuals, first you say, I know how to use the tool. Then you say, oh, my team knows how to use the tool. But now you're
Hmm.
saying at the org level, you need to fundamentally
Yes.
shift and everyone needs to have the same understanding. And now if I'm taking 20 projects, I can't bring the whole company along with me. So maybe you pick one specific area, go all the way through deep across all the teams and saying, this is how we're going to use, really get everyone on board, and that will multiply. So I'll pause here on that, on these two big things is, I really feel that the signal to noise ratio and
Hmm.
how many projects you handle right now, I think are really big right now. Because, there is a FOMO, fear of missing out, and everybody thinks they have to do something with AI. But if you can convince your leadership to take a more deliberate approach, I think that's the right way to go.
Excellent. Okay. So you are advocating for a bigger project when you invite, the bigger team and you have a more kind of attractive business case. Um, what are the challenges and maybe tips for adoption of AI? If you kind of pick the right project and if you could give an example, that would be perfect. How can you make people use it, and fight the fear of losing their jobs, that they would be replaced, and, the upskilling challenge and so on? So, any tips on adoption?
Yeah, I think the first one, again, you and I spoke about this quite a bit in that presentation, is in order to truly get a aha moment, like everyone to fully be, really understand the power of AI, is you got to use AI on a daily basis.
Hmm.
I cannot emphasize enough, like I've seen some of my team members talk about it and whatnot, but I see them using it once a week or using it very sparsely, right?
Hmm.
So my coaching to them is, guys, before you like even pick a goal, there is a step to it, is just play with the technology, get
Hmm.
your own insights, get your own aha moment. Now, again, we have put in some guardrails on where you can use it, right? Even like with like some larger companies, we've created contracts where, like with Gemini, none of our data is used by Google or anything for
Hmm.
training purposes. So they can actually ask Gemini things that they want and what they want to learn from it or how you
Yes.
use it for better coding. So number one thing I would say for AI adoption is really, really start playing and developing your own opinion, right?
Hmm.
I think the number one key. The second part along with it is the fear of failure. As you're going to build stuff, you are going to fail, but you want to make sure you are failing in a kind of a more controlled environment. We can go down into the whole part about psychological safety and how we as leaders build that psychological safety for our teams, because it the AI development model doesn't work in a traditional development model. Like I know
Hmm.
what the process is. I know if I did X, you're going to get Y. So, the core concept of AI, if you look at it, is it is not a deterministic system. It's a probabilistic system. So when I
Hmm.
build something with AI, the same prompt with a different context may generate something different for me.
Yeah.
I think it takes a little while for people to understand that. That's what I think we are talking about a lot of other things is when you're
Hmm.
doing AI adoption, apply it to a specific use case, test it out, see the business value, and get the team together as well. So I'll pause here.
Hmm.
I think the two things that really occur for me as you're looking at AI adoption, and what I will say is for us, how we are focusing right now as an engineering team, you said, give an example, is
Hmm.
we are trying to apply it for two use cases today is code generation. We've picked a couple of tools. We've tried it. We've had
Hmm.
some of our champions who started doing this within the team. And now slowly others are trying it. And the second place we saw value is in reviewing the code. Because,
Hmm.
humans have some bias, again, which by design is not bad. But
Hmm.
AI can very objectively look at your code and give you a more objective answer. And also, there's a notion of speed. It can actually do it really fast. It can run
Hmm.
24/7 without ever getting tired. So, you
Yes.
want to leverage it for its strengths too. So, we use it for code reviews and actually giving us better insights into like security related stuff. Hey, what are some of the security related stuff? So, we kind of do it that way. So, we're picking one use case at a time as opposed to
Hmm.
like maybe boiling the ocean. So, we're going that way.
Excellent. And maybe just um, not a philosophical question, but we know that once AI start to recursively learn from your own code, improve it, and then again and again, and goes through this cycle in a very, very fast, we would reach completely new level. And as far as people like Eric Schmidt, ex-president of Google, and so on, say we are not there yet, but that would be the inflection point in terms of. Now, you mentioned to do it for reviewing code. Is there anything out of curiosity that you try to maybe do a iteration around review, improve, review again? Is there any cycle going there?
Yeah. So first, I think we tried different tools because
Mm-hmm.
every tool has different. So we
Yep.
tried like Cursor, we tried Windsurf, we tried Copilot, and others, right?
Usual
Because and
suspects.
all the usual suspects, and also there are different models behind it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we have our own tech stack, we have our own knowledge base, and we wanted to
Mm-hmm.
use it. By the way, one quick call out for the listeners too is understanding your code, explainability of code. I think these new models do phenomenally well. Like, previously when like I could actually run that on a model, and I have an example where we had a recently a production issue, and our VP of IT wanted to understand the issue, but he didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to ping our principal engineer. So he basically ran GitHub Copilot on that piece of code. He knew where the issue happened. He said he spent about 30 to 40 minutes and he could understand by just asking it questions, saying how it works. And then he
Mm-hmm.
was able to do without involving a principal engineer. And that's an amazing use case because now suddenly someone that actually has never written a code,
Mm-hmm.
actually not even a part of engineering, could actually understand what was in
Yes.
there at the super high level, right? So it is such a powerful tool as you kind of go using it. So
Mm-hmm.
I really like the power of explainability of code.
Yes.
But to your point, we tried different tools, we tried different models, and we have this notion of what we call guilds, which is AI
Mm-hmm.
guild. We meet every
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So people come and share their experiences, and it's a kind of a learning method. We also have another method, what we call code and coffee, where
Mm-hmm.
so AI Guild is a kind of a very informal process. So Guild is
Mm-hmm.
a horizontal team where
Yeah.
you cut across all different teams and everybody comes in and they kind of explain what they have done. And on the code and coffee, once you've taken a certain area and you have dived deep enough, at that point, people come together and say they do a session saying, here's how I've done things, here's how it is deep, and here's are all my learning. So we've built into our teams the learning processes, that mechanisms have already been built in, and they're kind
Mm-hmm.
of building on that.
Mm-hmm. How you call it? Cold and coffee, or what was it?
Uh, Code and coffee. Code, yeah.
Cold like.
Oh,
Aha,
CODE, code.
code. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, excellent. Perfect. Is this Mount Silicon Valley popular, or it's just your company kind of?
I think it's just our company. I think traditionally what happened was the time that we had picked was the time for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the folks initially were just doing technical presentations. So people
Mm-hmm.
started saying, hey, why don't we make it like a code and coffee, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what we do is we not only just share like technical stuff, sometimes people have done things outside. Like,
Mm-hmm.
someone went to a phenomenal place, they went to a great hike or something, and they will share learnings. But what's impressive is it's a constant learning exercise,
Yes.
both from
Yes.
a work perspective, because at the
Yes.
end of the day, we are all people, we are human, we bring so much to the table, and we
Yes.
use ability to kind of learn from each other over there.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love that. I loved. I'm a big fan. I was running project delivery for Europe for British American Tobacco at some point in time in my career as IT manager, and I was introducing always horizontals and verticals, like geographical focus and then functional focus. And I love this collaboration on a horizontal level where different leaders just exchange. Great for innovation, ideation, and then verticals, improvement, deep diving. It sounds very powerful. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Um, Now, coding, software development, you are in the industry which people claim is now the most impacted by AI. People don't hire new graduates, they don't kind of need new programmers because the old experience with AI tools can deliver 10x, 100x. Maybe you already shared some, insights from your company and how you run software development. Um, I would like to ask you, how do you see the future of work? And maybe start with software development, because you are in the kitchen. How do you think it will change short to medium term? And then we could expand for other roles as well.
Yeah. This one is a little hard to answer in some ways. I think I have been kind of very vocal about it. It also feels a little bit like a punch in the gut, because I
Hmm.
started as an engineer, I started in coding, and you
Hmm.
are right. The software engineering field is the first one to kind of get fully disrupted at this
Hmm.
point, right? Having said that, if we go back and look at any technology disruptions that have happened in the past, I
Hmm.
personally lived through. I think I mentioned the internet age when the internet, came out in the mid '90s. That's when I started my career, and I caught on to that wave. Is when a new technology comes in, it helps you do something which you did before in a much different way, sometimes in a more efficient way and whatnot. I see the same concept apply here with AI. If you look at structured thinking, AI has been able to say, I can do that. Programming is very structured,
Hmm.
right? And now, with all of the reasoning capabilities and everything that's coming in, it's actually saying, if you give me a specific business use case, I can actually even give you some solutions for that. But I still feel the value we will all add is not going to be the specific skills of I know Python or I know Java or I know C sharp. I think the value add that we will add is I know the domain and I know the customer really well. And
Hmm.
this is what I want to build for it, right? So to answer your question, the work, the way it'll change over the course of time, especially for software engineering, is um, you go from maybe writing code to building business deliverables, like building something that the customers really want and
Hmm.
building them fast, right? So the transition goes from, hey, I'm just going to be coding to saying, use a certain technology. I can make a decision, but I could even ask AI at some point, 5 years down the line to saying, pick the right technology for this thing. This is going to be super efficient. I want millisecond responses, right? It could pick the right technology for you at that point instead of me kind
Hmm.
of trying to spend time. But how I build it, how I deploy it, there's a lot of like architecture work, thinking work that
Hmm.
I'll still provide guidance to it and I'll kind of go from there. The other thing I think that occurs to me, and again, I briefly had touched on this before as well, is again, a little harder for me as an engineer to kind of say this is we've always said until now that code is the source of truth.
Hmm.
As you move forward into this new world, prompts is going to start becoming the source of truth, right? We didn't specifically talk about how prompting is going to be one of the skills
Hmm.
everyone has to learn about now. And what that means is now a prompt can generate a piece of code for you, but if I were to run the same prompt, maybe, I don't know, 6 months later, it could potentially generate a different code.
Hmm.
So it's not about the code that you've written, it's the outcome or what the product that was built is it still giving me the same outcome. This is another
Hmm.
part where QA kind of comes in, is now our focus will zoom out from just saying writing code to saying, is this product still doing what I want it to do? Can
Mm-hmm.
AI help me build a product, continue to iterate, maintain it, keep it clean, like tech stack upgrades? That's going to be
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal to use AI for. Oh, I'm on Python X version. I want to go to Python Y version. It will do it
Mm-hmm.
for you because it knows all the dependencies, it knows your code, and will be able
Mm-hmm.
to do that. So I'll pause here. Is really going from you have to look at how AI can coexist with
Mm-hmm.
you kind of doing the critical thinking, judgment, the people management, and being closer to the customer, where
Mm-hmm.
AI will do a lot of the heavy lifting on maybe coding and even like some of the QA tools,
Mm-hmm.
and really bringing all of it together. Like the core, there's a word we use in engineering is toil, TOIL. And toil
Mm-hmm.
means some of the like grunt work that you have to do, right? So AI will start taking a lot of that grunt work, including writing code too in some places, but you will be still the gatekeeper of how and what the outcome is.
Excellent. And you mentioned business deliverables instead of kind of writing code. The software engineers will deliver business deliverables. Can you give us a few examples just to make it more tangible of business deliverables?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's say you're working on an application that builds, um, I don't know, a loan application for some customers. Like we build applications like forward financing. We have a product that actually builds. We give capital, working capital, to small and medium sized customers. So right, this they give us applications. So they submit
Mm-hmm.
applications, and we build that pipeline. If I were to ask AI just for them to build me an application to saying accept the request and say PDF form or whatever, and then tell me what are the best loans I can give and all of that, it will build that, I think, in no time. It can build it pretty fast. But the nuance I think that gets lost is what is the risk modeling I'm doing? What is some of the specific features that I want to build? It will not know the nuance. It will not know how I do my A B test. It will not know should I go A or B because that is a decision still up to me. What
Mm-hmm.
should I do once I see all of that data? I think, what Eric Schmidt, I think you were quoting before, was saying is at
Mm-hmm.
some point when AI starts remembering everything, I know there's a
Mm-hmm.
memory dimension to it too. Probably it'll get to a point where even it'll help you offload that too. But today, I think you can help it build a lot of the scaffolding, some of the basic integrations, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that code that helps you build kind of the core application. But then
Mm-hmm.
the key decisions and how you use that product and what is the key functionality, that is somewhere where human will continue to be involved. This is what I mean by building
Mm-hmm.
something for the customers or business deliverables specifically.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a question which probably you are not the best person to answer it, but you have a lot of insights. If you are a young software engineer, what would you do in order to kind of develop and grow your career? Because currently it's difficult to get a job. What advice can you give to young software engineers and software developers?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned to you that my son is in high school right now. He's
Mm-hmm.
also deciding, what he wants to do in college, and I have a few other friends' kids that have been asking me. Some of them have
Mm-hmm.
just graduated and all not. So just a little context that I have had to answer this question before too. So
Mm-hmm.
my first answer to everyone that's actually graduating is please, please spend time to learn all of the AI tooling. Talking about is one thing, but it's amazing. They don't realize it. They have such amazing creativity that someone
Mm-hmm.
like me who's been in the industry for a while, I still have a traditional way of thinking. And I think
Mm-hmm.
AI is going to complement, right? I'm changing my thinking. But the new generation can bring AI native thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they don't see it. I know there's a lot of this noise, oh, we are not getting jobs and all that. I think they need to kind of really feel like we'll bring a whole disruptive set. And to give you a very specific example, something that Shopify did, and we are trying to do that next year, is really hire some junior engineers too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and by the way, what Shopify did was Shopify has, I think they did about 1,000 people they hired out
Give
of
us more
college.
details about the Shopify case study.
Yeah, so Shopify is a platform where,
Mm-hmm.
again, small and medium sized
Yes.
businesses can kind of build their website and do the selling.
Mm-hmm.
And their application, is being built. It's a massive application, obviously, right? Because they are a multi-million dollar company. I think their valuations are
Yes.
in billions. What their VP of engineering has said recently is there is this, and by the way, I'm kind of maybe almost stealing some of the points from what he said too, was
Hmm.
we think about new generation as, oh, they don't necessarily have the skills or to use the AI because we know the product, we have the experience, and I only want senior people to do it. But he's like, if you look at new people, they would use AI in ways that will completely surprise you. And
Hmm.
I think that is the creative portion you need to have within your teams. So you
Hmm.
have to complement it with them. And it's, I think, a very powerful point that I would really encourage a lot of leaders to think about. We
Hmm.
ourselves are actually thinking about it, and we are trying to create a good mix of leveling within our own engineering team
Hmm.
by hiring some junior folks because they just use technology very differently. Like, as an example, I look at my son and everybody, they are more plugged into technology than I am. Like
Hmm.
Instagram, Snapchat, all of that stuff. I feel a little old when I say like I'm not fully into it. And they think about problems very differently. They think about
Hmm.
solving the problem very differently. See, at the end of the day, Peter, it's all about solving problems, right? We
Yes.
are using technology to help speed that up. So I think the advice I'll give is first, please use the tools so you can kind of walk your talk. It's just not like
Hmm.
talk. Please do that. Second, and this is the advice I gave my own son, is now the barrier to building something new is so less. Stop talking about it, start showing me what you've done with it,
Hmm.
and build an app. Like we in engineering leadership, we were like joking. We could build an app a day. Doesn't matter how big it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah.
Build one app a day, and you will reach a point where like I have ideas that I thought would never be possible, right? And I
Hmm.
think I can build an app. In today's industry, if you look at Sam Altman from OpenAI, they've talked about solopreneurs having billion-dollar companies.
Yes.
And what I want to shift the mindset for the graduates coming out right now is shift your focus from getting a job to actually becoming an entrepreneur yourself
Mhm.
in some way. Learn the technologies because you have more potential than you realize. But I understand that it's
Yes.
a little tough in this industry, right? So Niyat, I'll pause here, but it's really that's how I see it, and I think it's they bring a lot to the table. I think as leaders we need
Absolutely.
to start acknowledging that.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic insights. I mean, right now, some people feel disadvantaged in the old way that they don't get enough job offers, but it may turn another way around. They will become entrepreneurs, building their own companies in a creative way. So they maybe then the big ones would like to get them inside just to bring fresh ideas. And yes, let's see how this dynamic develops. Maybe
Yeah.
before we go into the last standard question, is there anything else that I didn't ask you you'd like to answer? I like, for example, you mentioned the champions in your teams, but any kind of tangible tips for more creative use of AI, adopting AI, and how you operationalize it in the software development? Is there anything that we didn't discuss, but it would add value?
I think one part of my job is curiosity
Hmm.
and just like talking to people and finding new things. I would say that is one skill you got to double down on these days.
Yes.
You just have to have the curiosity to go keep trying. So, like when I look at my teams, what we are doing is, and time is one factor for it, but what we have told the teams is you have a small percentage of time to play with new technology. So, even not as an individual, but as a company, we've done like we give them a professional development budget. We've told them you can go learn new technologies, you can go play with certain new technologies,
Hmm.
and when you get to that point, come share it with all of us, right? So we can all learn from each other. But I think the point is, how do you support curiosity and trying new things out is, I think, going to become a very critical skill. So, like how you learn, how much you learn, how well you share. In leadership, we've talked about it, but it's been like
Hmm.
point number 8 or 9, right down the
Yes.
list. I think it's coming up way to the top now because
Hmm.
AI is complementing all of that. So, if there's one thing, if you had asked me to kind of just say at the end, I would say keep the curiosity going, empower and enable yourself plus your teams to create the thinking time to be curious, listen to stuff. Because, I get busy sometimes, I don't have thinking time. And I'm like,
Mm,
no, in today's day, my biggest value add is provide the critical thinking. So I
yes.
need to carve out time. Some of the heavy lifting AI could do that for me. So again, that
Hmm.
is a big takeaway I would say is
Excellent.
keep your curiosity going, create more thinking time for yourself.
How do you encourage curiosity in your team yourself? You mentioned curiosity, learning, and sharing. What rituals? Can you give us one example?
So the simplest one, which I hope other leaders use, is ask why.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we
Mm,
doing this?
mm-hmm. Yes.
How could it be done better? And I have my own ways. We talk about it in the form of continuous learning or continuous improvements, right? But we really got to take it to heart. We have, when we do our sprints, we do retrospectives today. They have a certain pattern to it, but you could
Mm-hmm.
change it by saying, could I have done something even better? Because
Mm-hmm.
now with AI complementing it, the answers could be very different now, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we have incidences and outages and we do a root cause analysis, you could ask the same question.
Mm-hmm.
What could we do to fundamentally improve, not incrementally improve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now with AI assisted, you could have a very disruptive change. So the curiosity always comes with asking a little bit more open-ended questions and the leaders showing that they are vulnerable and they asking the question like we talked a lot about student mindset and all this. You cannot be a know-it-all. Nobody's a know-it-all, right? So you don't want to come that way. You should always show curiosity first by yourself. It's like, hey, I don't know about this. Can you tell me about it? And
Yes.
that's how it all starts because that culture rubs off. So I would say
Yeah.
just asking the right questions. Yeah.
Yes. Love it. Love it. We're living in the same value universe. That's
That's
why we
true.
match so well in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Excellent. Last question. It's a standard one, but I need to relax. Take your crystal ball out and tell me what is the ultimate frontier of AI?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. I have like, we talk about like, what would you dream of? Like what that world would look like, right? So I'm going to probably
Mhm,
share my dream rather than a vision. In a way, I would be super excited to see as because I'm getting older too, and I'm like, I grew up watching a lot of sci-fi movies where they talked
mhm,
about flying cars and all. Maybe flying cars won't come in, but autonomous driving. Driving is one, I love when there is no traffic, but I know it's like kind of a pain. I would love autonomous driving to become kind of a thing, right? Where I
mhm,
just sit in, I could use that time for something, but I also get to meet people. So autonomous driving. When you look at health tech, just the sheer number of things that are going to happen, like you could you have devices like this that can measure your blood pressure and stuff like that. I see that kind of evolving and growing, right? Um, I want to go in space one time if I had an opportunity, right? It's got little, not much to do with AI, but I think with AI complementing it, maybe we get to see that too. Our productivity, our creativity is going to be complemented so much.
mhm,
I think it's even harder to imagine what we can accomplish with AI because AI is growing significantly day over day and it's going to make our life easier. I don't know if it's going to translate into 30-hour work week or 20-hour work week. I don't know if it'll go there, but I know my quality of life is significantly going to go up. My productivity is going to significantly go up, right? So some of these examples that I give are kind of supporting that vision. And
mhm.
it just again goes back to what will you do with that free time? What else are you going to build, right? So again, I think I keep going back to that model. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it's been very inspiring. Thank you, Kinar.
Okay.
It was, yes, very pragmatic. You kind of on this spectrum, which are like polar, inspiration versus pragmatism and productivity. You hit reach all goals. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's been an honor.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Peter. And thank you for having me on your podcast.